So let's move on and start digging a little bit into the understanding claims history. So, if you're required to, especially in your bigger accounts, claims history is probably going to be a determining factor in getting the amount of credits you need applied in order to be competitive. So you want to be reviewing the claims history. You want to be looking at what types of losses are there, right? Is there severity and or frequency types of claims? Those are they're going to play a significant role in understanding what you have, what type of risk that you have that you're trying to get a quote for. And then you want to know open versus closed claims. So if you have a lot of open claims, that's going to be harder to deal with than those loss history with closed claims. And then, do you know what the loss ratio is? Is it based on a 3-year or a 5-year? If it's not looking great, it's probably better to base it on 5 years, right? Because you got better odds of showing a lower percentage. But carriers will accept 3. But that's going to be, it depends on the claims. So let's take a look. I sanitized a claims report that I just wanted, to have you, take a peek at. And this is actually an insured that I'm going to talk a little bit about. That was a renewal for us that we were able to successfully keep the account. But a couple things to take note of. Your status. Is it open or closed? Well, if you're looking here, this is a really good example of a problem account. Look how many open claims there are. And then you go over here, and they're not in injury date. They're not sorted that way, so you'd have to look down through here. But you can see that there's literally 4 that came in the month of April. This is a current loss history. And so that's a real bad sign when you start to see that. And then you want to look over to the right here, and then you can see that you've got some potential severity claims that are developing here that are going to be a problem, and most of those came in. Well, one of those came in during the month of April, but the other 2 were within the last year, which are not a good sign, and most likely those are all still open. So this was not the incumbent carrier on this was not happy with this account, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I'm just trying. And when you're looking at this, the amount of claims, it's not the net expense, it's the total incurred, which will include the reserve and everything. That's the number you are going to, the carrier will be looking at, and that's that $128,250 that is showing at the bottom. That's the total amount, and that it's not a great loss history for this particular account. So let's keep going, and then I'll talk a little bit further about it. I'm going to use this insured as an example. So in this particular case of this company, it actually was a property management company that had a number of maintenance people that worked at the properties that they insured. And one of the things is because of this sort of the environment we're in right now, they were having the broker was having trouble reaching the insured, and so we needed a supplemental for to even get the renewal quote released. And we're a week away from the renewal, and we've taken this out to other markets and have not received any other competitive quotes. So finally, the incumbent carrier releases a renewal quote, and the premium has gone from $130,000 to $269,000. they had pulled a more current loss run because the one we had originally didn't have all the losses on it, and didn't have all those April losses. It wasn't because it's, but it was still considered current up, 90 days worth. So, and so he just said, we don't feel comfortable with this at all. Why are they having all these losses? Well, that's a really good question. So, but I thought it was a little severe to double the premium like he did. We did get the property supplemental, property management supplemental completed. That did not change his mood on the risk, and so we luckily got one other carrier to come in, and they came in matching the incumbent's premium that their current premium. And so we went back to them with the loss history, and we did one thing. We asked the broker to go back to the insured and discuss their knowledge of the claims. And in this case, they had just hired a supervisor and sent over a resume where we were able to tell a great story, an underwriting storyline for the carrier as to what steps that they were taking to make sure that they stopped these claims. And I knew immediately when I saw the claims that there was no supervision. That's my experience in the industry. That's usually the case with this type of insured. And so they had already taken the steps that we were able to tell a great story and go back and disclose all of the claims to the carrier, but tell a story at the same time. And they did increase the premium by $20,000, which brought it up to $150,000. But it was so much less that the insured, it was a perfect opportunity for the insured to say yes to the new quote coming from the new carrier. So that's a great example of how you really have to take a look. You have to be on your feet. You have to and be able to create a story, find out what loss control steps the insured is taking, and if not, bring it to their attention so that they can take those steps. Because ultimately, as in the case of this particular insured, they ended up paying for the year $20,000 more in premium, right? And that's probably going to happen. If things clean up, the premium may come down, but it may take a couple of years for it to come down. And then what happens later, I'm going to talk about, is you will see those the X bond increase in the futures, which is sort of a double whammy. And I think I'm moving right into that now. So let's talk